5-Minute Pearls for Clinical Practice. This week's pearl is be a role model for your staff. Hello, this is Dr. Brian Morris, and this is 5-Minute Pearls for Clinical Practice, where you will learn the tools to provide exceptional care for your patients. This is the weekly podcast where you will be introduced to time-tested, evidence-based patient care strategies that aren't always taught in schools or training programs, but are nonetheless crucial for success in clinical practice. Years ago, I read a really helpful book called How to Behave So Your Kids Will Behave. It's a parenting book, and it focuses on how the parent behaves with the understanding that kids learn their behaviors mostly from watching their mother or their father or other adults behave. Most parents know that we can tell our kids something over and over again, but that our kids tend to take on the behaviors that they see us do. And I started thinking about clinical practice and some of the practices that I've seen over the years. I've noticed that the staff of many practices take on the demeanor and attitude of the healthcare providers in that practice. If I call a practice and the receptionist who answers the phone is short with me, then I can almost guarantee you that the healthcare providers in that practice have some sort of negative attitude as well. So this week's pearl is to remember this. The attitude that we take with our patients and with our staff will undoubtedly affect the tone and the vibe in our practice. If we have a tense, angry attitude, then our staff is likely to pick up on that as well. If we have a positive, friendly, understanding attitude, then that's the attitude that our staff is likely to take on. In life, nothing happens in a bubble. Every action has a reaction. Every facial expression, every comment, every intonation has an effect on those around us. Be aware of your tone and your facial expressions and your demeanor. Be aware of your general attitude, especially when things get stressful. If you want your staff to be kind and respectful and to treat your patients really well, then you need to treat your staff and those around you really well as well. If you want your staff to greet patients a certain way, then you need to greet patients and your staff that way as well. Your staff will look to you to define the culture of your practice, and be sure that you define that culture in the way that you want it defined. Be aware of this and see this as a chance for you to establish the kind of environment that values kindness and respect for others by embodying these traits in all of your interactions. Let's keep the dialogue going. Let me know what you think of this week's Pearl for Clinical Practice. You can email me at drmorris@5minutemd.com. That's DRMORRIS at 5minutemd.com. You can post your comments and your experiences on the 5-Minute MD Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter at Brian Morris MD. And you can visit us anytime on our website, 5minutemd.com. Let your friends and your colleagues know about the podcast and make sure that you are subscribed on iTunes. When you are subscribed on iTunes, you will receive new podcast pearls as soon as they are posted. And if you have a few minutes and you enjoy what we're doing here on this podcast, please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you at the next 5.